Next topic is about undue influence and coercion. Coercion, that is duress, in the execution of a contract or deed involves some kind of physical or bodily threat. The threat is not restricted and to the party but to any person the party is interested in. When compared to undue influence, the difference is that undue influence may exist without violence or threats or violence against the victim. Undue influence exists because of the relationship the parties share. It is usually without violence or threat against the victim. The confidence which the other party reposes in the other is used to one's advantage. A person is said to be in a position to dominate the will of the other in the following cases: where he holds a position of dominance of authority or some kind of trust is reposed in him, where the victim does not have the mental capacity to understand the consequences of his actions. And next one is about a presumption of undue influence. In certain cases, the presumption of undue influence is raised. The effect of presumption is once it is prima facie established that the defendant had overpowered the will of the other, it is assumed that he has used his position to influence the overcome. The defendant had to establish the contrary. The presumption is raised at least in the following cases: unconscionably bargains, inequality of bargaining power or economic duress, ableness, unconscionableness. When one of the parties to a contract is in a position to use undue influence on the other and the contract is apparently skewed in one party's favor, the law presumes that consent must have been obtained by undue influence. The burden is shifted to the stronger party to prove that he did nothing to dominate the will of the other. This cause illustrates the above point wherein an old and illiterate woman incapable of any business conferred on her confidential managing without any valuable consideration. An important pecuniary benefit we uses here is to trust the ones is the one grantee to show the conclusively transaction is honest, bona fide, well understood, the subject of individual advice and free from undue influence. Next is about misrepresentation. Misrepresentation is a contract the consent to which is caused by misrepresentation is voidable at the option of the deceived party. Misrepresentation means the action of giving a false or misleading account of the nature of something. This inaccurate information might make the difference with respect to a party deciding to enter into an agreement or not entering the agreement. Misrepresentation means the misstatement of a fact material to the contract. And what is a misrepresentation? What is the simple meaning of misrepresentation? Misrepresentation is a false statement made intentionally by one party to influence the other party to abide by the contract's terms and conditions. A justified misrepresentation in the execution renders the contract void, and depending on the situation, the deceived party may seek legal redress and be awarded damages for any loss incurred or resigned the contract. Such a dispute occurs when a person does not know or lacks a reasonable opportunity to know the character or the essence of a proposed contract because the other party misrepresents its essential terms or character. The party responsible for falsely leading the other party to consent the subject of the contract is the defendant, while the aggrieved party became the plaintiff. So, a misrepresentation is an untrue statement made to induce another party's decision related to a contract. A defendant accused of misrepresentation may be charged with failure to act in good faith and according to the reasonable standards of fair contract negotiations. Misrepresentation can be categorized as fraudulent, innocent, or negligent misrepresentation. So, in short, misrepresentation means it is a false statement made intentionally by one party to influence the other party to abide by the contract's terms and conditions. And it is in execution renders the contract void, and depending on the situation, the deceived party may seek redressal redress and be rewarded damages for any loss incurred or resigned the contract. Thank you.